With a casting director or director or producer, they don't usually tell you then and there that you're wrong for the role. Right. Sometimes you can read a room and it seems like, okay, these people aren't really digging what I have to offer. Sometimes that's very obvious, sometimes it's not. But every actor in town has an agent or manager usually, so you'll receive a phone call after the fact from your agent or manager that you didn't get the part. Mm-hmm. And that can create a bit of a challenge for an actor psychologically, because what we want to do is try and figure out why we didn't get the part. Mm-hmm. But we can't actually talk to the casting director, we can't talk to the director, the producer. So I think it's natural to make up something kind of negative, something that's going to make you feel bad about yourself. But 9 times out of 10, you didn't get the part because you weren't the right height, or they were looking for a different eye color, something that you can't change and you shouldn't worry about. But because you don't know that, I think the average actor will beat themselves up a little bit. They'll decide it was about themselves. They'll take that rejection personally.
Did you ever get upset after those auditions?
Well, sure. I think in order to properly tackle a part, an audition, you have to invest in the character. You have to give a little bit of your heart. You have to give a little bit of your soul. And I think every actor, particularly myself, you're not just studying your lines, you're imagining the movie. Mm-hmm. You know, you're imagining how you're going to look on the screen playing this part, and you've picked out the soundtrack, and you've imagined what the closing credits will look like. You've invested fully in this part. So when you don't get it, it's not just that you haven't gotten the part, it's that the whole 6 months that you've planned out in your head, you know, the 6 months it's going to take to do that TV show, to do that movie, suddenly go away, and suddenly you're starting from scratch. And that can be a very, very difficult process.
So when you heard that, well, I got the part for Michael Scofield, how did you feel at that time?
It all happened so quickly. I remember being very excited, mostly because it meant I could pay the rent. But I was the very last person to read for Michael Scofield. Mm-hmm. They'd seen hundreds of guys. I came in at the very end. I got the script on a Friday. I auditioned on Monday. I had my call back on a Tuesday.
The following day?
Yes. Found out Tuesday night. And a week later, we were shooting in Chicago. So it all happened very quickly. And I think that worked to my advantage because it meant I didn't have enough time to get nervous, to get worked up about it. I just had to think on my feet and be ready to move in any direction.
Were you like super excited? Yes, I got the part.
I was, because it'd been a long time since I'd been able to work. So that was great. I was excited to be in front of a camera, excited to be going to Chicago and filming in a real prison. It was certainly unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. And I thought that the show, I thought it might work. I felt as though there was something about that first script that might compel people, that might get people to tune in week after week. I wasn't sure, because you never know in television. You never know what an audience is going to be in the mood for. But I thought we had the right pieces to put together a really potentially interesting puzzle. Strictly good or evil. No one is strictly black or white. And T-Bag is as bad as they come. He's not someone that you expect to sympathize with. But because of the cleverness of the writing, and because Robert Knepper, who plays T-Bag, is such a brilliant actor, sometimes you find yourself caring about what happens to someone who is basically a despicable human being with no redeeming qualities.
Yeah, that guy is scary. But still, I love him. Yeah, that's sick. I mean,
we do bad guys very well.
Well, just now when we saw Michael with this tattoo on his body, and people are like, wow, that's the kind of reaction I always got when people, saw Michael with the tattoo on, right?
Yeah, it was quite a set piece. When I saw that in the script, that suddenly my character was standing there with the full body tattoo, and that the plans for the prison were hidden in the tattoo. I thought that was like nothing I'd ever seen in TV, like nothing I'd ever seen in the movies, and I thought that's eye-catching. People will remember that.
Do you have any tattoos?
No tattoos in my head.
Why not?
Actually, working on the show cured me of any desire I might have to get a tattoo for myself.
Really?
It's a very it was a very back-breaking process. The first 2 times I put it on, it was really cool, but then the next time, and the next time, and the next time, and the next time, once an episode for the first 2 seasons. Takes about 4 to 5 hours to apply the entire thing, and an hour and a half to scrub it off at night. It's a fairly arduous process.
Wow, 每天画4个小时，洗要1个半小时。But still, it was pretty cool.
It was cool. It was cool.
You like show? Look at my tattoo. Did you show that to people?
The first time I did, and then one day I had to wear it home. Usually, you'd put the tattoo on in the morning, shoot all the scenes that required the tattoo for that episode that day, and then scrub it off that night because it actually starts to disintegrate almost immediately. But there were a couple occasions I had to wear it home and go to sleep in it, and it's extremely uncomfortable. It's like wearing fly paper. You tend to stick to the sheets. It's not pleasant.
That looks sexy though.
Oh, thank you.
Well, do you watch your own show?
I did in the beginning, and then it became almost too intense for me. It's a very dark show. A lot of terrible, difficult things happen to these characters, and I am a workaholic. I tend to obsess about work. I obsess about my character. So I had to start forcing myself to take breaks from Prison Break because it was starting to dominate every aspect of my life. So in the end, I decided to distance myself from watching the show, and maybe in 3 or 4 years, I'll sit down with a DVD and kind of go through it one weekend. But no, I haven't seen it in quite some time. I do share a lot in common with Michael. He existed on the page first, but then I brought a lot of myself to him. I think he represents certain parts of me taken to an extreme. We both have a respect for order, for research, for preparation, for discipline. But Michael's also, he's a little bit crazy. He's a little bit of a loose cannon. I mean, what sort of man would be willing to throw himself into prison to save a loved one on death row? An extraordinary man. A man who walks the line between genius and insanity. So we don't have that in common. But I've been honored to play Michael Scofield. And if Prison Break is the best thing I ever do, and this character is the character I am known most for, I'll consider that a privilege. At the same time, I've been thinking a lot about what it means now that the show is coming to an end and moving on, and the fact that when you play a certain character for 4 years, people tend to associate you with that character. But I'm confident that I have other things to offer, that there are other sides of myself that I haven't shared yet. And hopefully I'll be able to surprise you, and hopefully you'll find enjoyment in the other things that I do.
Surprise us, but gradually, not too much.
Gradually. I'll take it
gradually. Yeah.
I think I'd like to wear a lot of different hats, to use an expression. To be an actor, to be a writer, to be a director, producer. I think that I have fallen in love with storytelling, and eventually I'm going to find stories that I'll want to tell in my own specific way, not just as an actor, but as the director, as the man sitting in the editing room putting the story together. I've said before that I cannot take full responsibility for Michael Scofield. I owe his success to a lot of people, to the 150 cast and crew members who put Michael Scofield together each and every week. I have to give them credit. And it's taught me that this is a collaborative process. There are a lot of different facets of the business I'd like to explore. And to that end, I am actually writing a couple of feature films with some friends. It's kind of a change-up in that I would potentially play a bad guy, something like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, because I do love a good horror movie. And I think after 4 years of playing the good guy, it'd be nice to be the one running around with an axe at the end of the movie. I have to say that throughout the course of Prison Break, one of the difficulties of playing my character was that because we did bad guys so well, we had Bellick, we had Teabag, we had Abruzzi, we had Kellerman. They got to do some fantastic things on the show that I wasn't able to participate in because I had to remain the good guy. I had to remain kind of cool and calm and stoic, and they got to do all these sort of fireworks and theatrics. So to play one of those parts, to be kind of baroque and twisted and interesting in that way, does appeal to me.